The events that would transpire on the early hours of November the 6th, 2020 would go on to change Chicago drill music forever and lead several of the biggest rappers of this generation down an incredibly dark, downward spiral of beef, loss of life, and that very night alone would specifically cause Lil Durk, arguably the biggest rapper in this entire story, to be arrested on charges related to a murder for hire, a crime that can possibly leave Lil Durk in prison for the rest of his life if he's found guilty. Federal prosecutors alleged that Lil Durk was involved in paying for and setting up the 2022 violent altercation that took the life of 24-year-old Lul Pab, the cousin of the rapper Quando Rondo, and the same individual who just 9 years prior was a big fan of Lil Durk's music. Now, it's important to note that every party involved in this story is innocent until proven guilty. As of now, the events within this story stem entirely from allegations made from third parties. All individuals, events, accusations, and claims made are all alleged. They are not confirmed as fact. And this story is being told to simply document the life behind some of this generation's greatest talents, and most importantly, to highlight the one thing that is factual. All of these horrific losses, acts of violence, and incarcerations easily could have and should have been avoided. The evening of Thursday, November 5th, 2020 started like many others for Davon Bennett, better known to the world as King Von. The 26-year-old was riding high off the success of his newly released debut album Welcome to O-Block, which had just released a week prior on October 30th, 2020. Von had good reason to celebrate. After years of struggle, legal troubles, and fighting to make it out of Chicago's dangerous O-Block neighborhood, he was finally seeing his dreams materialize. His album was performing well, his fan base was growing, and his future looked promising. Shortly after midnight, King Von and his crew arrived at Monaco Hookah Lounge in downtown Atlanta. The mood was celebratory. Social media posts from that night show King Von in good spirits, surrounded by his friends and fans, and dancing as the DJ played tracks off his new album. What nobody knew was that these mundane moments, the laughter, the music, the celebration, would tragically be Von's last peaceful moments on this planet. As the night wore on, tensions began to build between Von's crew and the crew of Quando Rondo, who had also been at the club that night. At approximately 3:20 a.m., King Von and his entourage left the club. The cool Atlanta air was thick with tension. According to eyewitnesses, an argument erupted in the parking lot between King Von's group and Quando Rondo's associates. But before we get any further in the story, it's important to recognize where the tension emerged from in the first place, because at one point, there was none at all. In fact, Quando Rondo, King Von, Von's childhood friend Lil Durk, and Quando's record label owner and close friend NBA Youngboy were once all on great terms together. Like we looked at before, Quando Rondo's cousin Lul Pab was once tweeting out Lil Durk's music, but over 10 years later, Durk gets accused of being one of the co-conspirators behind the attack that tragically took Lul Pab's life. So where did this all start, and how did we get here? Well, let's take it back to 2018. This was the year that Quando Rondo's career would take off, where he caught the attention of NBA Youngboy, who commented on one of Quando Rondo's Instagram pictures asking for his phone number, and this would lead Quando Rondo to officially sign to NBA Youngboy's record label, Never Broke Again, in June of 2018. In that same year, Lil Durk would do an interview with XXL, where he said that he had recently been in the studio with Quando Rondo himself. Quando Rondo would go on to shout out Lil Durk in multiple different records, starting off with tracks off his 2019 mixtape From the Neighborhood to the Stage. On the track Dope Boy Dreams, he referenced Lil Durk's Signed to the Streets mixtape series by rapping, "Signed to the Streets 3 times, I feel like Durkio." He even shared some advice that Durk gave him on the song In My Section off that same mixtape, where he rapped, "Durk told me to treat the rap game like the dope game." In March of 2019, Quando would be seen backstage with Durk's childhood friend and the latest artist off his OTF label, King Von. Both Von and Quando were wearing matching outfits. Later that same year, Durk would post a list he made of the top 50 rappers that he believed changed the culture, a list that included both NBA Youngboy and his artist Quando Rondo. Durk would even collaborate with NBA Youngboy on the unreleased classic sleeper track My Side.
Where I'm from and I say boys wild, keep a gun cause I gotta survive. Where I'm from and I say boys wild, keep a gun cause I gotta survive.
He'd also appear on Quando Rondo's 2020 track called Safest, where Durk rapped that Quando Rondo was one of his favorite artists at the time. And the collaborative nature of their friendship and the mutual praise that all four artists had for each other made complete sense. While they were all from different sides of America, with Von and Durk growing up in the same neighborhood of Chicago, Quando Rondo being raised in Savannah, Georgia, and NBA Youngboy spending his childhood in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all four artists shared a similar upbringing plagued with the tough conditions of street violence, poverty, and the loss of family and friends. But they all channeled their pain through the passion, melodies, and lyrics within their music. You felt their pain through the music, and that's why it was even more powerful when they came together and shared their own stories on the same record. But somewhere in between the collaborations and camaraderie that these artists shared together, tensions would begin to brew. Tension that is believed to have begun in March of 2019 when King Von went on Instagram Live and played NBA Youngboy's music in his car. He started laughing at the lyrics Youngboy was rapping, stating that they were cap and that Youngboy wasn't really living the stories he was telling.
Youngboy talking about on this song, bro.
What?
You talking crazy on this man.
Oh yeah?
He ain't even like that.
Oh!
On this man.
On his
Cap. You got cap in your raps. You got cap in your raps.
However, Von would quickly clear up that he was just kidding, and the internet was trying to construct a beef that didn't really exist. He got on Twitter and said, "NBA Youngboy's my homie for real. You guys are trying to make me look effed up." And it made sense that Von's comments were just a joke, as his label owner Durk would go on to praise and collaborate with both Youngboy and Quando Rondo after these comments were made, and Von would welcome Youngboy home when he was released from prison in August of 2019. But in October of 2019, Akademiks would tweet out that Youngboy was the realest rapper in the game since the emergence of the Chicago drill era, a sound that Durk played a pivotal role in pioneering. Durk himself would argue against these claims, saying that it wasn't Youngboy, but instead it was his artist King Von that was the realest rapper in the game at the time. And the two quote-unquote realest rappers in the game, Von and Youngboy, even recorded music together in early 2020, with Von tweeting at Youngboy to release the record that they made together. Around that same time, Von and Youngboy were also both engaged in on-again, off-again relationships, with Von dating female rapper Asian Doll and Youngboy having a child with a woman by the name of Jania. Von would make it known that he'd be on the defense for his girl, as he tweeted at Asian Doll in September 2019 saying, "Heard somebody trying to F with you. Who I gotta beat up, ma? Where he at?" A couple months later, Asian Doll would thank Von for protecting her, calling him her bodyguard on Twitter. But in the summer of 2020, Von would echo different sentiments on Twitter, with cryptic messages implying that their relationship was suffering a breakup. But a month later, he tweeted out that they were locked in for life. Von would also state in interviews that he was very protective over Asian Doll, even wishing at times that she wasn't a rapper, so he wouldn't have to worry about her in the studio with other male rappers. But by the end of summer of 2020, Von would seem to imply that him and Asian Doll were fully broken up, and that he just made a quote-unquote hit with another female. And that same day, pictures would leak online showing Von out with Jania, the mother of NBA Youngboy's fourth child. Both Von and Jania's sister would share cryptic tweets that had fans believing that the implication was Von and Jania made more together than just simply a hit record. However, Jania would confirm on an Instagram Live that her and Von only made music together, nothing more. King Von would also back up Jania's statements, saying that he was just trolling to make his ex-girlfriend Asian Doll upset. But whether or not there was any truth to Von's trolls, NBA Youngboy didn't appreciate it regardless. And the next day, he posted an Instagram with the caption saying, "I'm gonna make sure that my son sleeps with your daughter since you're trolling so much." And on that same day, for unknown reasons, Lil Durk and King Von's childhood friend and fellow Chicago rapper Lil Reese would tweet at Quando Rondo, threatening to assault him the next time he sees him in public. Quando would respond to the threats on an Instagram Live, saying that Lil Reese won't do anything to him and that he didn't deserve to live. And now, in the span of just 2 days, just months after Durk, Von, Youngboy, and Quando Rondo were all collaborating together, they now seem to be entangled in a tense back and forth that would only continue to escalate from here on out. That same day on August 16th, 2020, Youngboy would preview a new song titled Dead Trolls, where fans speculate he was dissing King Von, saying that his baby mama Jania was chasing money by hanging around his ops, and that an unnamed individual was trying to troll because they couldn't get a feature with Youngboy. A statement that bears resemblance to the tweet that King Von released earlier that year, where he was telling Youngboy to drop the record that they had together. Again, it's important to remember that at this point, all these claims were simply speculation, and most definitely could have been a reach, with Youngboy possibly talking to someone else on his Dead Trolls record, or potentially just throwing out vague bars with no intended target behind them. A month later, in September 2020, Von would clearly state that he doesn't have beef with people from out of town. However, he doesn't need a reason to have a conflict with someone. If they want to get into it, he's ready. And this statement emphasizes the unfortunate reality and sad outcome of this entire situation. Vaughn himself made it apparent that he didn't even know that a beef existed, and with the root of the problem being unknown, and therefore likely easily avoidable, sadly, Vaughn clarified that he was ready for the conflict, whether or not there was even a real reason for it. September 2020 would continue to bring in a strange chain of events in this situation. On the 15th of September, Vaughn would tweet out that he doesn't have the time or energy for a relationship, but he's open to casually kicking it with a woman. After that, Vaughn and his sister were spotted in a club with Youngboy's baby mother, Jania, and Vaughn's sister, Kayla, would later call Jania her sis. But by October 2020, Vaughn would reunite with Asian Doll on Instagram Live. And several days later, he would seemingly address the situation with NBA Youngboy on the record Mine 2, where he rapped that he's not beefing over a girl, but she is his, along with anyone else that she chooses to be with. He said, "Ain't finna beef about no girl, dog, she's mine too. Press these guys about them issues up that iron too." He also seemingly confirms his beef with Youngboy on this same record by rapping that he had beef in Louisiana, but he didn't even know it. Then he rapped, "I hear you rapping that gangster stuff, but now you gotta show me." Now, these bars echo many of the statements that King Von made on this situation in the past. He trolled NBA Youngboy for rapping about a life that he wasn't living, while also confirming that regardless of the trolling and sneak dissing, he wasn't even sure where their beef actually derived from. But regardless of where their issue started, unfortunately, they would only continue to escalate. Vaughn would tweet out on October 12, 2020, saying that once his girl sleeps with another man, he doesn't want her anymore, seemingly confirming his breakup with Asian Doll. At the same time, Asian Doll herself tweeted that the next man to approach her needed to have at least 3 bodies. Definitely quite the disturbing dating prerequisite. But a few days later, DMs would leak where Youngboy would confirm that he had been with Asian Doll. Then, in early November 2020, Youngboy would preview a new record that featured Asian Doll, which was titled Meet the Reaper. Vaughn would respond saying that the new song is trash, while also saying he can post something online that would make someone cry and want to disown their kids. He would then also claim to have a song with Youngboy's baby mother, Jania, and that their song was much better than Youngboy's song with Asian Doll. But Vaughn would confirm that this again was just another case of him trolling. However, he really didn't approve of the record that Asian Doll and Youngboy did together. Vaughn would continue sending tweets that seemed to be aimed at Youngboy, with the most disturbing ones coming on November the 4th, where Vaughn seemingly emphasized that he wouldn't take disrespect from anybody and that he would respond to anybody who had a problem with him. However, none of this was that deep. Vaughn wasn't hurt and that this was all just for entertainment. In another deleted tweet, Vaughn would state that he's leading by example, taking the high road and not going to war over a woman. This seemed to bring hope to the situation, emphasizing that it wasn't that deep and that any bad feelings were put to rest. The next day, Vaughn would do an interview with DJ Akademiks where he'd confirm that he had no issues with NBA Youngboy and that any rumors of them beefing over women were seemingly propagated by the internet and the females involved in the situation. And while there seemed to be no bad blood between the two, Vaughn would continue living the next few days with a carefree, positive spirit. On November the 6th at 12:10 a.m., Vaughn would tweet out that he'd be at the Atlanta club, Opium, that night. Vaughn did a concert at the club. He celebrated with his crew, and he seemingly had no problems. Vaughn would leave the Opium club after his performance, and as he got into a black Escalade, fans got footage of his van blasting NBA Youngboy's song My Window as he drove away from the club. But instead of heading back home, Vaughn would make a second stop for an after party at the Monaco Hookah Lounge. At around 3 a.m. that night, while he was still in the club, Vaughn would send out his final tweet, saying, "Put me on any beat, I'ma murder it, it's just what I do." And just minutes afterwards, Vaughn would make his way through the parking lot of the Hookah Lounge. As he was walking towards his car, he bumped into Quando Rondo, who was at that same club with his own entourage. Vaughn walked up to Quando and immediately started swinging at him, starting a physical altercation and sparking chaos amongst the entire parking lot. Tragically, things started to massively escalate as Lul Tim, a member of Quando Rondo's entourage, pulled out a firearm and struck King Von 5 times as Vaughn was fighting Quando Rondo. Simultaneously, members of King Von's entourage began firing back with firearms of their own and hit Lul Tim. Tim fell to the ground, wounded by the hit, and King Von's entourage stood over him, attempting to take his life. Luckily for Lul Tim, it appeared as though their weapons would jam, and they were unable to take that final, fatal hit. Simultaneously, Vaughn would continue fighting Quando Rondo on the ground, while fighting for his own survival at the same time, as he had just been hit 5 times. Vaughn's friend Muop would separate the two by striking Quando with a punch. At the same time, the other members of Vaughn's entourage, which consisted of his friends Slutty, BJ, and Louie, the same individuals who had just hit Lil Tim with a firearm would now attempt to flee the scene. What they hadn't realized was that they were running directly towards a group of police officers. The cops would open fire at Von's three friends as they thought their own lives were in danger. The retaliation from police officers would lead Slutty to unfortunately lose his life, while BJ sustained a hit to the head and Louis was hit in the leg. While these three individuals were involved in their own confrontation with police officers, King Von's friend Muop would drag King Von to the car, and in an attempt to save his life, he would drive him to the Grady Memorial Hospital. Simultaneously, Quando Rondo would also take Lil Tim to that very same hospital, as he was also wounded by hits from a firearm from that very same altercation. Quando would even go live on Instagram as he rushed Lil Tim to the hospital, letting fans witness the gruesome moments of Quando begging hospital employees to quickly assist his friend before he lost his life.
Keep breathing, bit, boy. Just keep breathing, cuz.
Hold on, you can't move on that fast.
You got it, my fault.
Yeah.
Man, he's what you mean we're outside? Come on. Man, we need to get him back there ASAP.
I'm calling.
Ma'am, how? He done been before.
Okay, sir. 10-4. Can I get some assistance?
Man, we need a wheelchair.
I just called. I can't do more than that.
Juice TV.
I didn't go right to the emergency room.
Man, how we get there, man? We need help.
While Lil Tim was lucky enough to survive this fatal attack, in that same hospital, King Von tragically suffered from a much more tragic fate, as medical staff administered 3 rounds of epinephrine, shocked Von 5 times with no success, and sadly pronounced him deceased at 4:48 a.m. that morning. Lil Durk would discover the tragic news about the passing of his childhood friend King Von on an Instagram Live where he was previewing a snippet of a then unreleased track, Back in Blood, with Pooh Shiesty. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Police Department would quickly begin their investigation of the tragic loss of King Von's life. Within 24 hours, they arrested Lil Tim at Grady Hospital, where he was being treated for his own bullet wound. He was charged with taking Von's life. The legal aftermath would prove complex. Lil Tim claimed he acted in self-defense, protecting Quando Rondo during the initial assault. Georgia's self-defense laws became a crucial factor in the case. After posting a $100,000 bond in March of 2021, Lil Tim was released from custody. Quando Rondo maintained that his group acted in self-defense. In various interviews and social media posts, he expressed remorse over Von's death while defending his associates' actions. He emphasized that neither he nor his crew initiated the violence. The case highlighted Georgia's stand your ground laws and their application in self-defense claims. Prosecutors faced the challenge of proving the fatal attack was not justified, given the surveillance footage showing King Von initiating the physical confrontation. And now, with Lil Tim free, Quando Rondo unharmed by the altercation, seemingly capable of setting the violence aside to focus on his music, and with both NBA Youngboy and Lil Durk becoming 2 of the biggest rappers in the game at the time, it seemed like this would be the perfect moment for all parties involved to put the problems in the past, acknowledge and mourn the lives lost, and attempt to focus on growth for the future. But Lil Durk had just lost his closest childhood friend, the man he grew up with, stood trial with, and achieved massive mainstream hip-hop success with. And the world wasn't ready to let Durk leave Von's legacy where it was. They wanted revenge, and with the desire for revenge from Von losing his life on that cold Atlanta night in November 2020, the disturbing movement of Slide for Von began to emerge. The implication that there must be retaliation for the attack that took Von's life. But it wouldn't be fair to say that it was solely Lil Durk or his crew that wanted to keep fighting this ugly war. On November 20th, 2020, just 2 weeks after Von lost his life in a fight with Quando Rondo, Quando would release a track titled End of Story, where he'd speak on the altercation, rapping, "Blood on your brother on the ground, gon' pick your mans up. Damn right we're screaming self-defense, he should have never put his hands on me. Look at the footage, that's all the evidence. See them P-word guys shouldn't have ran up on me. Who the F said that I was hiding? I'm still riding around with them bands on me. And to set the record straight, I ain't never had no show inside the A." Quando would also get on Instagram Live, mocking the events that transpired, which led to Von losing his life. Over the next few months, Quando would struggle to do shows anywhere, with multiple shows being cancelled due to venue owners fearing the tension that would come with Quando showing up to perform. Quando was slowly becoming the most targeted rapper in the music industry. About a year later in 2021, when Lil Tim was released from prison after claiming self-defense for taking Von's life, Von's other childhood friend, Lil Reese, would get on Instagram Live, and when he was asked about Lil Tim being a free man, Reese said, "We're gonna roll him up real soon. Roll him right up. Big backwoods. We're gonna roll him up."
We gonna roll this up real soon. Oh my mama. Roll this right up. Big ass. Big ass backwoods. We gonna roll this up.
While Reese was showing the public that he hadn't forgotten what Lil Tim did to King Von, Lil Tim's good friend Quando Rondo would publicly express that he didn't want any issue in the first place. He did an interview with Angela Yee in November 2021, detailing the horrific incidents that occurred just a year prior, stating that he didn't know why his fight with Von started in the first place. He said, "In my mind, I'm just thinking regular, like you would think. I'm about to let these people walk past me. I'm not about to try and go through these people or nothing like that. I'm thinking these were some regular individuals, so I'm letting this group walk by me. Next thing you know, a guy hit me. Boom. I lie to you not. It's like I had an out-of-body experience." He also said that he didn't have any previous tension with Von and didn't realize that it was him until the altercation happened. Quando said, "I don't know where none of that came from. I never in life had words with them ever. I didn't know that it was him. This is all. I did not know that this was him until the next day." But nevertheless, regardless of whether Quando Rondo wanted these problems to begin with, what happened happened. Von's life was taken, and again, the world was not ready for the story to end. About a month before Quando would sit down with Angela Yee, saying he didn't know why this altercation happened in the first place, Lil Durk would hop on Nardo Wick's song, Who Wants Smoke, where he rapped, "They be on my page like Slide for Von, I know they're trolling me. Outside with y'all big homie, beyond I keep them folks with me. Got it back in blood, y'all just don't know. That's how it's supposed to be." Here he's seemingly implying that while the internet was trolling Durk to slide for Von, what they didn't know was that blood had possibly been shed in silence, and multiple horrific incidents of violence most definitely had occurred after the tragic passing of King Von. On November 20th, 2020, NBA Youngboy's brother Big B had been hit with a firearm at an Airline Highway gas station in Baton Rouge. And while there is absolutely no confirmation on whether or not this attack was retaliation for Von's passing, just days after Von lost his life, NBA Big B got on Instagram Live, and with a huge smile plastered across his face, he said, "The joke's on you. You diss, now you get repped on." In May of 2021, Quando Rondo and his entourage were also attacked with firearms outside of a gas station in Georgia, with one of Quando's friends taking bullets to his hand. Again, with this situation as well, there's no confirmation that this attack was carried out by Lil Durk's OTF group, but one thing was most definitely confirmed. Quando Rondo and anyone around him were definitely not safe. Quando performed his first show in May of 2021, and the venue was basically empty. Showing that amidst the drama, either fans lost interest in Quando's music, or the more likely case scenario was that they feared for their own safety by attending his concerts. Meanwhile, Lil Durk's concerts would only continue to get bigger, and he continued to possibly reference his beef in a lot of his music. In that same Nardo Wick song where Durk rapped that the internet was telling him to slide for Von, he also rapped, "Better do what Nardo said, cause people lose their lives for pumping gas." This was possibly in reference to the two gas station firearm attacks that both Quando Rondo and NBA Youngboy's brother Big B were victims to just a few months prior. A week later, Durk would also release the song Piss Me Off, where he seemingly spoke on losing King Von. He rapped, "I lost bro, I can't be happy till we creep up on the score. I know people act like they're with it, but they're B-words on the low." He also rapped about what Von's friends should do if they didn't want to pick up a firearm themselves, but did want to assist in the revenge for Von losing his life. Durk rapped, "Grab a weapon, if you're not with it, put up money for a weapon. Put up money for a hot car, put up money for a bond. I don't see you on the regular, but I see you screaming Von." Now, unfortunately for Durk, as the months progressed, tragedy would continue to strike as he lost his biological brother D-Thang in June of 2021 when D-Thang was hit with a firearm outside of a Chicago nightclub. The vile troll Tekashi 6ix9ine, who had his own issues with both Durk and King Von, quoted Durk's lyrics in a comment on DJ Akademiks' post where he announced that Durk had just lost his brother. 6ix9ine also flashed the word slide for Von on his music video for the song Gene, and he even linked up with Lil Tim's crew in Savannah, Georgia to play a dice game and allegedly record music with Lil Tim. However, Tim would deny these allegations, claiming that he doesn't make music with rats and that his crew was simply hanging out with 6ix9ine to extort him in a dice game, allegedly taking around $50,000 from him in the process. But with 6ix9ine entering this feud, the disturbing slide for Von trend would continue to spread on the internet, with people even tweeting that Durk had switched phones to an Android after Apple announced that they created an emoji of a park slide. Durk would seemingly ignore the internet trolls who were instigating retaliation for Von, and on his 2022 record, Aha, he said he's not responding to anybody's comments about King Von. Durk rapped, "Don't respond to nothing with Von. I'm like, F it, you're tripping, go get your weapon. They're dropping locations, I'm getting it done. F tweeting, we're sliding, the feds will come." And just a few months later, on August 19th, 2022, what began as a regular afternoon at a gas station in Beverly Grove, Los Angeles, would end in tragedy for Quando Rondo. At approximately 11:30 p.m., Quando and his cousin Lul Pab were getting gas at a station near Beverly Boulevard and Spalding Avenue. The location is typically a peaceful area and a very popular tourist attraction. According to police reports, Quando and his entourage had stopped to refuel their black Cadillac Escalade. What they didn't know was that this routine stop would turn fatal within minutes. Without warning, 3 armed assailants approached their vehicle and opened fire. The attack was precise and targeted, suggesting this was not a random act of violence. Surveillance footage would later show multiple individuals approaching the car with firearms, all from different angles. After Lul Pab was hit, Quando and Lul Pab would flee the scene, but they had to stop very shortly after for emergency medical attention. A witness noticed them struggling and notified law enforcement. The aftermath of this incident was pure tragedy and chaos. Quando Rondo managed to escape physical injury, but his 23-year-old cousin Lul Pab was struck multiple times. Despite immediate efforts to rush him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, Lul Pab would succumb to his injuries and lose his life. Quando Rondo was captured on film by local reporters as he was standing next to police officers and his cousin who was in the process of losing his life, and Quando was screaming in pain as he watched Lul Pab in the final moments of his time on Earth. The investigation revealed that this was likely a coordinated attack. Law enforcement sources suggested that the assailants had possibly tracked Quando's location, waiting for an opportunity to strike. From the beginning, it was apparent that this was not a random act of violence. It had all the hallmarks of a targeted hit. Quando would continue to channel the pain of losing his loved ones through his music, but unfortunately in the process, he also continued to diss King Von in his lyrics. On his 2022 song with NBA Youngboy titled "Want Me Unalive," Quando rapped, "Ha, my favorite op unalived. Sister talk too much. No, I don't like the girl. Little Timmy rolled her brother up, got stepped on in some Nike kicks." However, Quando took a bit more of a peaceful approach in his lyrics on his NBA Youngboy assisted collaboration titled "Give Me a Sign," where Quando reflected on Lil Tim defending him in the altercation with King Von. He rapped, "You'll have some people trying to test you just to see what's the deal, then I'll be damned it really happened now a rapper got killed. It broke my heart seeing my friend get hit up with that still, on top of that, get hit with murder for protecting his crib." On that same record, NBA Youngboy also spoke on Lil Tim taking Von's life, claiming that it led to him and Quando Rondo getting blackballed from the music industry. He rapped, "Blackball and wanna see us down cause Tim get dirty with that iron." Now, as for why Youngboy felt like he was getting blackballed from the industry, we don't need to look any further than the numbers themselves. Youngboy has racked up billions of views on his music videos off YouTube. However, his streams on streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify were always much lower. This could be due to the fact that a lot of the streams from these platforms come from playlists, with the higher-up employees of these platforms deciding which artist to put on the bigger playlists. Youngboy gets put on these playlists a lot less than an artist like Lil Durk does, and Quando Rondo gets little to no placements on the major playlists at all. Lil Durk seemingly addressed Youngboy's lack of streams and his YouTube success, as on May 7th, 2023, days before the release of both Youngboy and Lil Durk's new albums, Durk took to Twitter to throw jabs at Youngboy, writing, "Humble, I don't get played with just YouTube." Youngboy responded with, "Lil Durk, you're a B-word and you're nasty girl, and it's shown." He also dissed Akademiks by saying, "And Akademiks, you're a pure fat H-word whose mouth gonna be the reason you from now on invalid." He continued by saying, "Lil Durk, LOL, you ever realized you only get a buzz when one of your friends pass away? Think about it, scary bum, you know I ain't lying, haha." He even went on to mention Durk's ex-girlfriend, India Royale, before calling out Akademiks once again for speaking on his album sales. He tweeted, "India Royalty, tell that female dog he better not drop, he ain't saying pretty lady. Akademiks, You steady talking about sales, I'm paid. You can't manipulate me, clown. You embarrassing yourself. Simple fact. I can't be effed with, that's why I'm dropping. Because all you guys H words, and I'm better. It's also important to note, this is where also being thrown between Youngboy and Durk and Quando Rondo within their music throughout the years. After Durk released his 2022 record, Aha, where he spoke on not responding to anything about Von, Youngboy clapped back with a record of his own titled I Hate Youngboy. On that song, Youngboy rapped, Quando got no filter, and he say that they're gonna F with him. Clean up on aisle O, youngin' let that chopper blow. Hey, my brother let that stick blow. People know that's my smoke. He called me a B-word. That's India. That'd be your girl. And the animosity would continue all the way up until May of 2023, when Akademiks claimed that the beef between the two rappers was officially squashed, as both of them were gearing up to drop their upcoming albums on the same date, and Durk just put out the single All My Life with J. Cole, where Cole rapped that Durk was on his positive vibes now. Durk even liked a tweet, seemingly confirming that the beef was now squashed and the violence can finally be put to rest. However, as mentioned before, Youngboy would then go on to diss Durk in a series of tweets, as well as his girlfriend India and DJ Akademiks. And Durk responded to these tweets on an Instagram story saying, I ain't friends with no guys, stop it. He also added on Twitter saying, F you and who you came with. NBA Youngboy responded by saying, DJ Akademiks, you're a female dog, along with his industry friends. I love this stuff. It turned out the same way every time. Akademiks is fat. But by the end of that year, in December of 2023, things would seem to take a genuine positive turn for Youngboy and Durk, as Gilly the Kid went on his podcast $1 Million Worth of Game and said that he wanted Youngboy and Durk to headline his festival, Gilly Fest. He said, if both of them could hit the stage in the same night, it could show the youngins that this stuff isn't nothing serious. The beef ain't that serious. None of this drama is that serious. Youngboy would post the clip on Instagram with a caption saying, it ain't what you think, OG, all this stuff is entertainment. Get them to let me out of this house and I'll hit that stage for you. How do you want me to come? Every chain on or just one chain? Youngboy also revealed that him and Durk actually talk every 2 or 3 nights about music. Durk later responded to Youngboy, although it appeared that their issues hadn't yet fully resolved, as Durk accused Youngboy of sending him a fake home address. He posted on his Instagram story saying, you lied about sending the address 7 times when I asked. I'm finna grab my coat one more time. Send me the address. Youngboy responded to Lil Durk by posting a clip saying, bro, my probation officer gotta approve you. It doesn't work like that. You're gonna send me to jail. Youngboy also captioned the clip saying, I love the F out of you. Help me, Durk.
Bro, my PO gotta approve you. It don't work like that. You gonna send my ass to jail. We gonna throw the concert of the century.
So as we approach 2024, it seemed like there might be hope that the two artists and their respective crews would squash their beef and end the long cycle of violence and sneak dissing. Durk would go on to win his first Grammy for his record with J. Cole, the same one where Cole said that Durk was now on his positive vibes. And it seemed like Durk really was focused on turning over a new leaf and becoming a more positive role model in his community. In April 2024, he announced that he'd be putting together a festival in his hometown in an effort to combat the violence within the city. Durk said, I'm gonna do Schmirkchella next year at the Bear Stadium in Chicago. It's gonna be a Stop the Violence event, and we're gonna split half the money with different nonprofits from big to small. I need help. I need every artist who's locked in with me to help save these kids. He then tagged the nonprofit organization that he created and added, Neighborhood Heroes Foundation will help put it together. Let's go. This is my way of giving back without saying it to look cool. A month later, in May of 2024, Durk would go on the Big Facts podcast and was asked what he would do if he could, quote unquote, clean the streets of Chicago up and use his music to stop all the beefs. Durk said, that's the number one goal, to stop it. But the number one priority for us in the streets and politician-wise is to stop the violence and slow it down as much as possible. It starts with everyone just coming together. Durk acknowledged, however, that it's not exactly a simple ask. He said, but like I said, it's hard because you probably got him over here thinking he that, but his young guys don't even respect him. So even if he's like, come on, let's come together, they'd look at him like, get the F on. He also did an interview with DJ Akademiks, and Akademiks had mentioned people trolling Durk about sliding for Von and asking if Durk was bothered by that trend. Durk's answer was chilling and cryptic. While one could interpret it as Durk saying that the horrible trend is over, his long pauses and vague statements could also lead one to believe that there was a much deeper, darker reason as to why people stopped saying Durk should slide for Von. Like he mentioned in his 2021 record, Who Wants Smoke, it's possible that Durk had already did what he needed to do, so the request to slide for Von was perhaps no longer needed.
You get triggered by the slide for Von comments. I don't know if people still say it.
For some reason, I just don't see them comments no more. For some odd reason. I don't know. Might be the water. You be in the comments a lot?
They kind of chilled out a little bit.
I wonder why. We here though. We different in Iraq.
Shortly after Quando Rondo's cousin Lul Pab lost his life, Lil Durk's affiliate Brick Baby, a California resident who resides close to the town where the attack against Lul Pab had occurred, had echoed Durk's statements that no one was saying Slide for Von anymore. However, Brick Baby said that people say the Slide for Von trend is done specifically because Lul Pab had lost his life.
Oh yeah,
Slide for Von, right?
Nobody, they say you can't say that no more.
Why?
You can't say that no more.
Oh, because of FVG Cash? Or who?
Nah, cause Lil Pab.
What's that?
But I'm just saying, they just say you can't say that no more. That's the new term, like no more Slide for Von.
Because of Lil Pab.
While again, there is no confirmation of any individual being linked to any of the crimes related to Lil Pab's loss of life, the reason why Brick Baby said this is because obviously King Von was Durk's childhood friend. Von lost his life in an altercation with Quando Rondo when Quando's friend Lil Tim unloaded a firearm onto King Von, and while the internet told Durk to slide for Von for several years after, Quando Rondo's cousin Lul Pab sadly lost his life in 2022. And Brick Baby claims that this is when people said to stop saying Slide for Von. But regardless of why everybody stopped saying Slide for Von, Durk continued 2024 on a positive note, even receiving the keys to Chicago villages Broadview and Bellwood on October 18th. However, as the month of October 2024 had progressed, Durk's upward trajectory would massively come to a halt. On October 24th, 2024, federal agents arrested 5 men in connection to the August 2022 attack in Los Angeles that took the life of Quando Rondo's cousin, Lul Pab. Those 5 men are being charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire in retaliation for King Von's loss of life. Federal prosecutors in California announced the grand jury indictment on Kevon London Grant, aka Vonnie, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, aka Diddy, Keith Jones, aka Flocka, David Brian Lindsay, aka Brown Eyes, and Asa Houston, aka Boogie. Prosecutors claim that the August 2022 attack stems directly from the November 2020 altercation in Atlanta, where Quando's associate Lil Tim took King Von's life after a fight broke out. According to the indictment, the alleged OTF members set up a bounty and used a credit card that was associated with the label to book plane tickets to travel from Chicago to California in order to hunt down Quando Rondo after learning his whereabouts. Feds claim that Vonnie flew himself on a private jet from Miami to California to oversee the operation and secured the hotel rooms and other necessary tools used to carry out the hit. The feds claim that Grant was the one who helped procure the cars, ski masks, and firearms to carry out the deadly plan, including renting the BMW and Infiniti sedans fitted with fake license plates that the group allegedly used. Prosecutors believe Quando Rondo was the intended target, and while he was sitting in the vehicle at the time, the bullets ended up hitting his cousin, Lul Pab, instead. And just a couple hours after these 5 OTF members were arrested, Lil Durk was taken into custody by U.S. Marshals and booked into the Broward County Jail on the night of Thursday, October 24th. The feds named Lil Durk as the top mastermind behind the murder-for-hire plot conspiracy in the attempt to take Quando Rondo's life that instead left Quando's cousin deceased. The federal complaint against Lil Durk hits him with a conspiracy charge related to the alleged murder-for-hire and states that the OTF members acted on the orders of Durk. Prosecutors believe Durk was looking for revenge for the loss of King Von's life. According to the documents, Durk was allegedly the one who placed the bounty on Quando and helped others to procure the ski masks, rental cars, and hotel rooms to assist in the hired hit. The feds say that telecommunications records show a phone number associated with Durk was looking to cover his tracks when he texted one of the defendants saying, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." The feds say that Durk is allegedly linked by credit cards to the flights. According to court documents, the feds also caught wind that Durk was attempting to flee the country right when the 5 OTF members got arrested for taking Lul Pab's life. Durk had booked 3 different flights, one to Sweden, one to Dubai, and he also booked a private jet to Italy, and while he was on his way to the Miami airport to board that flight, the feds intercepted and arrested him just 1 hour before the flight to Italy was supposed to take off. The stark contrast in legacy trajectories for several rappers this year has been daunting. While Youngboy was seemingly putting his long-standing beef with Durk to rest, focusing on positivity, and getting out of his contract with Atlanta Records, in April 2024, he was arrested for 63 alleged crimes, and he has been incarcerated awaiting trial ever since. Meanwhile, Diddy was also recently arrested on racketeering charges in New York City, the very same city that he received a key to just a year prior. Meanwhile, at least from what the public was able to see, Lil Durk was also on a similar path to NBA Youngboy, squashing their beef, attempting to stop the violence, and putting a focus on the music. He was also granted a similar award to Diddy as he received 2 keys to his hometown city of Chicago on October 18, 2024. But just 1 week later, he's named as the top mastermind behind a murder-for-hire plot, and the Broadview mayor, Katrina Thompson, had taken back Durk's key to the city, with a statement reading, "While the American system of justice grants everyone the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law, in the village of Broadview, the court of public opinion of residents has even higher moral and ethical standards of behavior, and our public partners must also reflect the same uncompromising standards demanded by our residents." Given the news that Durk, aka Lil Durk, Banks, has been arrested in Florida and charged with murder for hire, the village of Broadview is withdrawing our honorary key to the village granted to Durk and is terminating our partnership agreement with his youth organization, Neighborhood Heroes Foundation. As the mayor, protecting Broadview's interests and upholding the values of residents is job number 1. The initial indictment of this murder-for-hire plot had listed Lil Durk as co-conspirator number 1. There were 4 different co-conspirators. It's believed that there was an individual who allegedly cooperated with law enforcement by wearing a hidden wire for several years, gathering evidence that allegedly implicates Lil Durk. This individual is believed to be, but not confirmed to be, Durk's longtime friend OTF Jam, who was recently released from prison in 2022 after serving 12 years for an attempted murder charge, and he reportedly provided information directly linking Lil Durk to the murder-for-hire plot targeting Quando Rondo. OTF Jam did an interview in 2023 where he spoke on meeting Durk, saying that, "I remember Durk was making rap songs for our parties. That was bro. Back before the fame and the money, he made a way for me to be straight." OTF Jam even revealed that Durk helped him get back on his feet and gave him $50,000 when he was released from prison in 2022. Going back to Durk's old songs, you can't help but feel like he disturbingly but accurately predicted a lot of how this situation would end up playing out. On his 2022 record, Federal Nightmares, he rapped about his close friends snitching on him and being the best witness as he had inside access to Durk's personal life and his whereabouts. Durk rapped, "When trial comes, it ain't your phone, it be your homie though."
When trial come, it ain't your phone, it be your homie though.
He on the stand with his head down like he don't know me though.
He on the stand with his head down like he don't know me though.
It ain't no point in getting no lawyer if your homie told.
It ain't no point in getting no lawyer if your homie told.
He was with you on them late nights and them fast cars and them ski masks. Incredible witness, got every code to my keypad. Couldn't hold it down, he jumped right off the deep end. He also began the song by rapping, "Delete my iCloud if I think they're really on me though."
Delete my iCloud if I think they really on me though.
Ironically, federal investigators obtained iCloud records of Lil Durk advising an associate in this alleged plot to end Quando's life. Durk texted the associate saying, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." But despite the warning, the associate booked the flights using a credit card linked to both Lil Durk and OTF. Lil Durk had also rapped on a 2021 record saying, "They asked me where I'm gonna be in 10 years, and I said the feds." And while Lil Durk might have predicted his fate on several different records, many people around Durk did try to help him change his mentality and avoid engaging in violence that could lead him down the path that he's currently headed. While Gilly the Kid, the co-host of the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, asked Lil Durk and NBA Youngboy to squash their beef with an onstage performance, the other co-host of that same podcast sat down with Lil Durk and cried to him as he recalled having to forgive the person who took his brother's life. He told the story at the height of the Slide for Vaughn movement, while he desperately tried to warn Durk to ignore the negative outside influences and forgive the person who took King Von's life.
"I forgave my brother's killer. My brother died in my grandma's arms. If I ain't let that shit go, I won't be right here today. I won't be here for my niece and my nephews. I had to let that shit go. And when I let that shit go, nigga, I started to grow. It was hard in the motherfucker, man. And I'm talking about this my big brother, nigga. I shared a cell with him. You ain't never get a chance to get another life, man. I hope y'all make it the out, man."
It's so crazy, and this motherfucker really dropping tears for this shit, like, shit for real.
While Wallow forgave his brother's assassin, he's now able to provide for his brother's family, a position he wouldn't have the luxury of being in if he got caught up for trying to get revenge on the person who took his brother's life. He was warning Durk here that he could suffer a very negative fate if he didn't do the same and forgave the person who took King Von's life. And watching this beef unfold between Lil Durk, Von, Youngboy, Quando, and all the other parties involved is extremely sad to see. Quando lost his cousin and lived many years with a massive bounty on his head. Youngboy is incarcerated facing 63 different charges. Von lost his life. Durk could end up in jail for the rest of his life. And beyond the artists involved in this situation, many promising Chicago artists have tragically suffered a similar fate. FBG Duck lost his life not too long ago. Lil Reese is currently incarcerated, and it's unfortunate that Durk couldn't fully fulfill his plans to stop the violence within Chicago, as he was seemingly on a positive path in the recent months leading up to his arrest. Kids growing up in similar lower-income neighborhoods to Durk and Von need stronger role models who can inspire them to escape poverty through a more positive outlet, instead of continuing the cycle of violence that unfortunately plagues a lot of America today. As far as the legacy Chicago drill music has left behind, I'd say we gotta look at the positive side and try to follow in the footsteps of the sound's pioneers like Chief Keef and Lil Bibby. While Keef himself was once headed down the wrong path, he quickly channeled his hardship into music and escaped the violence before it was too late. As for Lil Bibby, he grew up in the same neighborhood as Durk, Von, and Chief Keef, and went on to become one of the most successful executives in the music industry, signing artists like Juice WRLD and The Kid Laroi. While the charges brought against Durk are all alleged, what's most definitely a fact is that his mission of stopping the violence needs to be carried on by the people around him who still have the opportunity to do so.